You know I'm gonna get.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our online class of American Bridge International School. Alright, so how are you today everyone? Okay, very good, I'm very fine too. So today actually we are going to continue our lesson which is about the grammar. Okay, but before going into today's lesson, I would like to review some of the lesson that we learned yesterday. Okay, so everyone, do you remember what did we learn yesterday? Okay, very good. So yesterday we learned about the danger on the job, right? Danger on the job. Okay. So can you tell me what are the dangers? What are the dangerous jobs that you learned yesterday? Thank you. We have some kind of like the farmer, right? So the farmer is one of the most dangerous job around the world or in America because the farm worker could got the injuries or could be death because of some kind of the animals, because of the heavy machinery, right? Good. And what are the next dangerous job? The logger, right? People who cut down the tree. Okay, so they you know, like it is dangerous for them because of because of some kind, you know, like the tree, the big very big tree can fall down on them, or they got attacked from the wild animals, and also some kind of the disaster, right? Good. And how about the other one? Okay, home nursing, right? Good. So some kind of this job are the dangerous job that sometimes you never expected about, right? Because in the previous section, in the warm-up, we talk a lot about the dangerous job, and then most of you mentioned about the some kind of the policeman, a firefighter, a pilot, or flight attendant, or other jobs, right? Good. But now we also got some, you know, like some information and also some ideas about this lesson. Okay, this is a very good thing to learn. Very good. So now we are going into our today lesson, which is about the grammar. Okay, so everyone, do you know what kind of grammar, or what is the grammar point that we are going to study today? Okay, good. So before going into the you know, like giving the name of the grammar, I would like to give you a sentence. Okay, I would like to give you a sentence, and then you may used to hear some kind of this sentence before. For example, I can say I am a teacher who teach online. Okay, who teaches online. Okay. For example, or you can say you are the students who study in level 11A, right? Okay, so you can see this is a sentence which is about one kind of grammar that we are going to study today, and let's see it together. Okay, good. So everyone, today we are still in lesson 3, and the grammar point today is about here we say defining and non-defining clauses. Okay, or did you watch the video that I sent to you before this video? All right, that video was about the relative clause, right? Do you get some ideas about a relative clause? Very good. Thank you for watching that, and I hope that you guys understood you know, like the meaning and also the sentence of relative clause already. Okay, so now let's see all together what are the you know, defining relative clause and what are the non-defining relative clause. Okay, good. So let's see. We say relative clauses modify nouns actually and begin with a relative pronoun. Okay, relative pronoun. For example, we have that. Okay, who, which, or etc. There are more, right? Good. And actually, as I told you, as I used to tell you in the previous video about the relative clauses, there are two kinds of relative clauses, right? The first one is defining and the other one is non-defining. So let's see what are the difference between defining relative clauses and non-defining relative clauses. So go one by one altogether, everyone. For defining relative clauses, specify which person, place, or thing. Okay. Again, defining relative clauses specify which person, okay, place, or thing is being talked about. Okay. They are important to the basic meaning of the sentence, so they are not set off by commas. Okay, so you know, like in defining clauses, actually the difference between non-defining and defining, in the defining relative clause there is no comma. Okay, there is no comma between the sentence. All right, and remember that the defining relative clauses is the sentence which is important to the basic of the meaning of the sentence. Okay, if you do not include that relative defining relative clauses into the sentence might not be completed or might not be meaningful. Okay, so defining relative clauses is very important for the sentence. Okay, and look at the non-defining relative clauses altogether, everyone. So we say none here. Non-defining relative clauses, okay, add extra information. All right, so you have to highlight the extra information. All right, add extra information about the noun. Okay, so it means like the non-defining relative clauses give more information to the nouns, okay, to the noun of the sentence. They can be left out without changing the basic meaning of the sentence. So they are set off by comma. Okay, they are set off by comma. So remember that in the non-defining relative clauses, the sentence, the non-defining relative clauses are not so important to the sentence. If you just omit it or if you just take it out, the main clause still, or the sentence still meaningful. Okay, you still understand the sentence. All right, so that's why the sentence is set off, or the sentence are set off by the comma. You got that, right? So now everyone, let's go to see the example, some of the example altogether, in order to make you clearer about the defining relative clauses and non-defining relative clauses. All right, so let's go into the example altogether. Okay, so I would like to remove this out first. All right. Okay, so everyone, now let's see all together. These are the sentences and some of the example of the relative, defining and non-defining. Okay, so as you can see, first of all we have the subject. Okay, we have the object and the possessive. Okay, possessive. All right, so when the defining and non-defining as a subject, and when they are the object, and when they are the possessive, you will see all together. Okay, so first we have to look at the for people first. Okay, for people. So for people we have the defining and non-defining sentences, and then look at the difference together. So in the for the people we use who or that. You can use who or that, it depends on you. All right, so but all people know that who we use for people, right? But for that you can use both. You can use for people or thing or else. So for example, for in the defining, we say people who, okay, who work in logging often get hurt, right? So in this sentence, you can see the defining. Here is the defining relative clauses. So if you remove this sentence, just only the word people here, it doesn't mean anything, right? Good. And you can see there is no comma in this sentence because this is the defining relative clauses, okay? And look at the non-defining relative clauses. We say they hire some new workers, okay? And then comma, there's a comma here, okay? There's a comma here, who are not very experienced, okay? So it means when the when the comma is here, and then we say who are here, who are not very experienced. So this is the non-defining relative clause. You can remove this sentence, and then you still can see the main clause, okay? We say they hire some new workers. It's still meaningful, right? You still understand this sentence. So it means it set off by the comma, and then the non-defining relative clause is not so important. It just gives or it just adds more information to the sentence. But is that so important? No, not really, right? Good. Okay, so and then let's look at the object altogether, everyone. So in object, you can use whom or who and that in the sentence. Whom and who the same, you can use it, but in the object you can use whom or who, but in the subject you have to use only who. Remember that you cannot use whom in subject, but in object you can use whom and who. You can choose. For example, we say he's the manager, and then who here is in the bracket. So who here is optional, right? Who here is optional. You can write the word who or not. It depends on what you like. Yeah. If you do not write who, it doesn't matter. If you write who, it doesn't matter. Okay. He is the manager who they hired last month. Okay. He is the manager who they hired last month. Okay. So this is the sentence of the defining relative clause. You can see there is no comma in the sentence, right? Say he is the manager, okay? And they hired last month is very important to the sentence, because if you say only he is the manager, we do not know which one, right? Which one? No, we don't know. Okay, so when you give this sentence like they hired last month, so we know exactly which manager we are talking about. All right, good. And look at these non-defining relative clauses of the object. We say that's my sister, comma, and then comma here. You can see the comma. That's my sister, comma, whom you haven't met before. That's my sister, whom you haven't met before. All right. So this sentence the same. Actually, whom here. Okay. Whom here modified to what I want. Whom here actually modified to the sister, right? To a sister. She is the sister whom. Okay. You want to give or modify the noun of the sister here. All right. And you can see it's set off by the comma. All right. Good. So let's go to the possessive, everyone. So the possessive here we use only whose. Whose. Okay. We all know that whose is used in the possessive sentence, right? Okay. So let's see all together. We say she's the employee whose computer is working. All right. So here, whose here is the modified to computer, right? Who computer? Who computer? The employee computer, right? Good. So this is a non-defining relative clause. So there is no comma between the sentence. And move on to the non-defining relative clauses of the possessive. For example, I say I saw Ben and then comma. You can see the comma. Okay. I saw Ben whose office is across the street from mine. So as I told you, like the non-defining relative clauses, it just gives more information. Okay, it just gives in more information to the sentence. So it's set off by the comma, right? And we say whose office. Okay, whose office. It means like it modified to band. Okay, who office? Band office, right? Good. It's across the street from mine. Okay, so these are these are the relative defining relative clauses and non-defining relative clauses of the people. Okay, of the people we have subject, object, and possessive. Now let's see for things altogether. For things, everyone, things. Okay, so for things, we still have the defining and relative and non-defining relative clauses. Okay, and we also have the subject, object, and possessive. So let's see one by one altogether. So for thing, we have the for the subject we have which and that. Okay, which and that. As I told you, that you can use for people or you can use for thing. It's fine. All right. So for defining, we say what is the job that. Okay. So that here is the that is most likely to result in injury. Okay. So from that to here are the defining relative clauses. Okay, so you can see there is no comma in the defining relative clauses. Okay, good. And the next one, for the non-defining relative clauses, we say he is a farm worker, comma, okay, comma, which is a dangerous job. Which is a dangerous job. So which is a dangerous job here is the non-defining relative clauses. But everyone, do you have some? Do you wonder that why we use which here? Okay, why we use which for this clause? Because here we say a farm worker, right? A farm worker. Farm worker is a person, right? But why we say? But why we say which? Okay. So remember that in this case, which here it doesn't modify only a noun. Which here modify the whole sentence. Okay. Which here modify the whole sentence, the whole main clause. We say which here modify the he is a farm worker. All right. So we conclude that which modify the whole sentence of the main clause, and then we say it is very dangerous, or it is a dangerous job. All right. So remember for this point. And the other one is the object. For the thing in defining relative clauses, we have which and that, the same to subject, right? So we say that's the gear that we need. As I told you, that here is in the bracket. It means they are optional, it is optional, so you can write the word that or not, it doesn't matter, right? That's the gear, or you just omit it. That's a gear we need. You can say like that, right? That's the gear we need. Okay. So in this sentence, the defining relative clause here is very important. If you do not give this information, or if you do not give the defining relative clause into this sentence, the meaning is not complete. Okay, good. For the non-defining relative clauses, for the object, we say she gave me a lot of advice, which I appreciated. Okay, which I appreciated. All right. So which I here is the non-defining relative clauses, and it is set off by a comma. Okay, by a comma. So in this sentence, if you use only the main clause here, like she gave me a lot of advice, it is enough, right? The sentence is complete. It can stand alone here. But when you give like which I appreciated, this is just the extra information, right? Good. Okay, let's move on to the last point, the possessive. So for the possessive, like we use whose and of which. Remember this. For the possessive, for the thing, we use whose and of which. Okay. For example, we say wood is a material whose use are many. Okay, whose use are many. Okay, so in this sentence you can see whose here. Okay, whose here, whose use, whose uses. Use here is a noun. All right. So it modified to the material or and the wood. Okay. So we say wood is a material whose use are many. All right. Good. So this sentence, there is no comma in the sentence, right? Because this is the defining relative clauses. All right. Good. And the next one, we say we visited several towns. We visited several towns, of which Amos was the friendliest. Okay, friendliest. All right. So this sentence we have the comma because it is the non-defining relative clauses. Okay. So I think that's all, everyone. This is the we have the subject, object, and the possessive of the non-defining and defining relative clauses, and of the people and things. Right? Good. So right now, everyone, you can after watching this video, you can go to page 13 altogether, and this lesson is also on page 13. So after figuring out of all of this lesson, you have to do the exercise. Okay, we say circle the correct words. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so you have to do this exercise, and then you can go to the workbook because there are more exercise in the workbook, and you have to do all of those exercise with your homeroom teacher. Okay, your homeroom teacher will tell you what to do with the workbook. All right, so thank you everyone for today. Have a nice day.